All right, hey everybody. So we're going to be looking at Module 3 in your reading book today. And this is something that's very important for most of you. It's to basically say words can have different meanings. They could be a noun, an adjective, a verb. Also, the way it is written, the way it's said, it could change meaning. So this is really the type of thing that can help you go from a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to 4 or even higher. It's very important if you're trying to score a 3 or higher on your DSE. So here, let's look at the first page here, where it's talking about understanding, first one, denotation. All right, now this is going to be the meaning of the word. And a word can have different meanings. Like here, a crime. It is right here it says it's a crime to wear revealing clothing, wearing too little, but also like killing somebody is a crime. And then we could go down to this one right here, morals, what is right or wrong. Like, for example, if you have a girlfriend, but then you have a second girlfriend, well, you could say that's a crime because it's morally wrong, although you won't go to jail for it. So, again, a word can have many different meanings to it. And these are often going to be asked to you in multiple choice format. Let's go to this example. The North Cascade Mountain Range cuts through the northern part of the state of Washington. So this underlined word cut. When you think of the word cut, that probably would be like scissors or a knife. But obviously a mountain cannot use scissors or a knife. So here, let's continue reading. It is one of the most beautiful national parks in the United States, with its jagged peaks and world-famous Pacific Crest Trail that starts in the Canadian border and continues to the Mexican border. It is no wonder thousands of backpackers make this once-in-a-lifetime trek. So there might be some hard words in this, but like any other time, if you read a word and you're not sure, the important thing is that you don't get scared. Some students will just turn off when they see a word and they don't understand it. And that's the thing that you really need to avoid. You need to think, okay, how can I understand this word? So this one right here where it's talking about cut. Look at how cut is used in line 1 and decide which of its definitions below is closest to the meaning. To use a sharp tool to divide something into 2 more pieces, like a knife. Well, that is a way to define cut, but again, it's not how a mountain could cut something. To reduce something, such as the amount or level of something, well, you could, that would be a different meaning of cut. But I don't think a mountain would do that. To stop the supply of something, like the border was cut, so food could not get here. Okay, but that's not what the mountain is doing. To divide an area into 2 or more parts. Okay, so which of these do you think it's going to be? Well, pretty sure it's going to be D here. Boom, boom, boom. Exactly. So it will, like when you have big mountains, you might have a town on each side and they never talk to each other just because it's so hard to get there. So that would be how the mountain would cut between 2 parts so that it's hard to get from one area to another. All right. So this next part, connotation, is going to be not direct, but more indirect. What could it mean? For example, your words cut into me would mean like, oh, it hurts. You said something very direct and sharp. Here, let's look at some examples here where this is again, denotative would mean the direct meaning, like if you go to the dictionary, what it says. Connotative would mean indirect, what is implied. So words are going to have different ones. I think cheap is one that we could all get. When we say it is cheap, that would usually mean, well, it doesn't cost a lot of money. But also, if I look at something and go, wow, this phone case is cheap, that would mean, oh, it's crap. It's no good. I don't want it. It's low quality. I would say food at this restaurant is cheap. It could mean that it's inexpensive, but it also could mean that it's really bad. I don't want it. I'd rather make my own dinner. All right. Sometimes this is very important when we're talking about getting higher level, like a 4 or a 5 on the DSE, that your words can change the attitude or the feeling. They say the word right here, connotations, positive or negative. Like normally if we were to say like a student is curious, that's a good thing because it shows that they want to explore and try new things. But also, it can mean that you are trying to find too much. That means you're being nosy. It doesn't mean anything with your nose. What nosy means is that you are asking too many questions. You are getting in the way. Maybe people are against you asking so much. Okay. Uh, One of the best ways that you can really improve on this is to read a little bit every day. And I do suggest that if you try to read things that are a little difficult for you, so you would get things that have implied meaning, because that's really what's going to help you improve, that you see examples of like cut being used by the mountain cuts through the area. You know, it's something that you're really just going to get better through experience. Okay, here let's look at example 2. The irony is, how does such a pristine area and one of the most popular treks in the United States become one of the most gruesome crime scenes? To answer that, we need to go back to a cold and windy October day when 2 hikers started their day hike to Liberty Bell Peak. This would be the last time anyone saw the 25-year-old woman who was murdered on the Pacific Crest Trail. According to official reports, Laura Adams and Mike Johnson agreed to trek to the base area of Liberty Bell Peak, which in normal circumstances can be reached in a day. Laura was dressed only in light hiking attire. Okay, so there are some words here that are difficult, but that's what they're trying to test you on. That's why they make it difficult. Okay, so what does the word gruesome suggest about the murder on the Pacific Crest Trail? Let's go back up here. This is in this part. The irony. Irony means like surprise in a sense here. That is the opposite of what was expected. The irony is, how does such a pristine area, pristine meaning beautiful, how does such a beautiful area at one of the most popular treks, trek meaning walk, in the United States become the most gruesome crime scene? So again, irony, it would be a surprise because it's the opposite. So how is it that such a beautiful, popular hike becomes one of the most gruesome crime scenes? So what would be the opposite of beautiful walk? That's going to probably be how you could get an ironic word out of this. So let's go down here. The murder was abnormal, unusual. The murder was brutal. The murder was unlawful. The murder was random. So maybe you don't know this word. Gruesome can mean very bloody. Like if you watch a horror movie and it's very scary, you could say it's gruesome. So do you think it would be unusual? Brutal meaning very rough, very mean. Unlawful? Every murder is unlawful. Random meaning unusual. So A and D mean unusual. C means against the law. Brutal meaning very mean. It's going to definitely be B here. But also you can guess it based upon the meanings of the other words. What does Laura's light hiking attire suggest about her hike to Liberty Bell Peak? Okay, light hiking attire. Attire means, do you know? Clothing. So the hike is supposedly what? If she's wearing light hiking attire, do you think that the hike is going to be very challenging? Do you think she's going to camp overnight? Do you think it's a very long hike? Well, any of these would work. You could say it's a very easy hike. Another idea, you might say it's flat, meaning that it's not going to be very strenuous, effortless. Yeah, there's many things that you could put in here. All right, so there we cover the first two examples. Now let's go on to part C, which is synonyms. You've heard me talk a lot about synonyms. This is, I think, is one of the easiest ways that you could really improve your English quickly because you find similar ways to say the same word. Like, for example, if you go back, what's another word for clothing that was in the last reading? Attire. They're going to use words like this when you take a test and when you're at university, just to make sure you know what it is. They could write clothing, but attire means the same thing. What? Let's go back up here. What is a synonym for beautiful? That would be pristine. Pristine is slightly different. Pristine would usually be talking about nature. Untouched. Very beautiful outdoor areas. But yes, going and looking up synonyms is a very, very quick way that you can improve your English quickly. So, let's look at example 1. The irony is, how does such a pristine area and one of the most popular treks in the United States become one of the most gruesome crime scenes? Which of the words have mean the same as the following? Well, light. Well, we said that before. The irony is, how does such a pristine area and one of the most popular treks in the United States become one of the most gruesome crime scenes? That would be popular. What's another synonym there that we could use? Well, the first one that comes to my mind would be famous. It's not the exact same, but it's quite similar. If something is well liked, we could say it's famous. It's similar to popular. It might mean very, very popular. That would be famous. And let's go to this word, horrible. Which of these words up here would mean horrible? What's a word here that would mean horrible? Exactly. Gruesome. So we said that would be like a scene from a horror film. What else would be another synonym there? Like, I'm thinking, disgusting. Earlier, What did they say? It was, what was the word that they used? Brutal. There's many words for it. Graphic. A graphic could mean a picture from a computer, but if we say a graphic crime scene, that would mean something very bloody. Bloody would be another synonym here. Okay, so let's look at this. Example 2. The police finally made a breakthrough. Now, that is the word we're going to focus on. This strange man, whose name was Andy James, was running from the law and camping nearby a tent, living off whatever he could find in the forest. Which of the following means breakthrough? So they finally made a search. You know, that's one of the ways that you could practice these. You replace the word in there. The police finally made a search. The police finally made a report. They finally made a discovery. They finally made a test. Well, definitely they already were searching and perhaps reporting and testing, but discovery means that they got more information. So that would be that they were learning something. Discovery. So antonyms, which is useful. I think synonyms are more useful to learn because you can learn more words faster. Antonyms, though, will help you because you're looking up words that are the opposite, which can help you. I suggest it very much. If you have enough time, find a normal word like big, and then 5 ways to say it. But then look at the opposite. Try to find 5 words to say the opposite. So let's look at this. Then one day, searchers met a strange man coming down one of the trails. Initially, he refused to cooperate when the police officers tried to question him because there was something odd about the man. The police interrogated him further. All right, so let's look at these. Which of the words means the opposite? Another good practice for you whenever you're taking a test, whenever you're looking at something like this, is to highlight. You know, you can have a highlighter out, or if you just have your pen, circle it or highlight it. Make sure the key word in the question is understood. Usually you'll have a lot of time to take a test, extra time. So make sure that you understand the question. And that's the key word here, opposite. So which words in this paragraph would mean the opposite of going up? Well, what's the opposite of up? Down. And there's a space right here, so you have to have 2 words. That is extremely important. So coming down. It wouldn't be down one. Couldn't be man coming down. You would have to put coming down for this one. Ordinary. Ordinary means normal. So what would be the opposite? Well, we got strange. Odd might work, but okay, it is odd. Also, strange could be a word here. Yeah, sometimes you're going to have a couple possibilities. If I was grading this, I would accept both of them. But definitely the opposite of ordinary would be odd or strange. Okay. Simile. Okay, similes. So this would be another level up. When you try to compare things using like or as. The example they give. The robbers ran down the street like raging bulls. If you use this in your writing, it can really help you score higher. This is how you're going to get a 4 or a 5 star. It's very important. It gives a very visual example of what you're trying to say. For example, let's not do it. Let's just say the robbers ran down the street very quickly. That is a very simple sentence. But here, they ran down the street like raging bulls. Well, that would have an image in my mind of men running very fast, knocking things over, bumping into things. So it would be a very visual thing. That's why I encourage some of you who are already quite good to level up to try to put in similes. Yeah, and they're saying how it's kind of wild, dangerous. Okay, and then a metaphor is going to compare two dissimilar objects not using like or as. I was saved from a burning building by two firefighters. They were my angels. Here they're comparing firefighters and angels. The important thing is if you have a simile, they use the word like, as, or as if. And a metaphor does not. So really just like or as. If you see like or as, it could be a simile. And for a metaphor, it won't have that. So they're still comparing two things. Let's go down to example 2. The Daily Star's provocative headline on February 14th, alone. Gun control laws infringe the right to self-defense would have been enough to spark intense discussion. This coupled with an excerpt from Thomas Cooper's latest book, To Defend is a Right, a book that supports the right of the individual to own a gun, has resulted in nothing less than a firestorm. Well, that was an interesting paragraph. A little challenging, definitely. What metaphor does the writer use to describe the controversy of gun control? So remember, a simile uses like or as, a metaphor does not. So they compare two things without using like or as. Gun control laws infringe the right of self-defense would have been enough to spark intense discussion. This coupled with an excerpt from Thomas Cooper's latest book, To Defend is a Right, a book that supports the right of the individual to own a gun, has resulted in nothing less than a firestorm. Often it will also be at the end when they're comparing. They go from in writing, you'll normally have it very clear, very direct, and then if you have something indirect, if you have a simile or metaphor, it will be at the end of a paragraph. That's a little hint there for you. So that would be the firestorm, which a firestorm, it could mean a storm of fire if there's a really bad fire, but often we would say it's like a very powerful argument. Two sides really against each other, shouting, don't agree. So in America, that is a topic that would get people arguing. Can you have a gun? In Hong Kong, no. People would agree you should not have guns mostly. But in America, it is a firestorm when people argue. Now let's go to irony. It is, like I said, a surprise, usually two opposite things. Like right now in Hong Kong, you could say it is ironic. Right now, this is February 18th, 2020, and there were anti-mask laws about 4 months ago that would not allow people to wear a mask in a crowded space because of the protests, but now, because we have the coronavirus, we are having a shortage of masks and people fighting to get a mask. That would be ironic that we went from one to the other, and it was a surprise. So let's look at this. Example 1. The irony is, how does such a pristine area, and that means beautiful, and one of the most popular treks, means walks, hikes, in the United States becomes one of the most gruesome, bloody, horrible crime scenes? Okay. So we already explained that earlier about how you would have a beautiful area where something very bloody happened. That would be a bit ironic. Their examples, this is a good one. This chair is as comfortable as sitting on nails. Is the chair comfortable? Definitely not. This is using irony to prove your point that this is a very bad chair. This would be something if you're aiming for a 5. This using irony is very high level. Some of you, I suggest it. Let's look at example 2. Daniel Schwimmer is one of the most influential painters in Europe and one of the least known. Daniel's most famous painting, Autumn Leaves, was recently sold for 2 million Hong Kong dollars at Art Basel, an international art fair in Hong Kong. Daniel's paintings are often sold anonymously. Okay, there we go. So what is the irony here? What would be a surprise? What would be the opposite? That this man is famous. Okay, he's influential, but what does this word mean? Because again, you're going to have these indirect things like irony, similes, metaphors. You're going to tend to have them at the end of a paragraph. Most writing starts direct so that we understand what it is, and then it would get indirect to really explain in a very clear or interesting example. So he's famous, but anonymously means you don't know who it is. And that would basically be this right here. He is very famous, but people don't know about him. He is anonymous. All right. So we've covered the main points here. That's a lot. The direct meaning, the denotation, the indirect meaning. Let me get that back up here. We've gone through a lot here. This is very difficult. The denotation, which again would mean the direct meaning. If you look it up in a dictionary, it can have multiple meanings. The connotation, which would mean the implied meaning. And like we said before, you can take a word and it can completely change. The word is the same, but it can change the meaning. Like curious normally is good. I love it when you're curious. But in English, it could mean a bad thing. Oh, you're curious. If I say it like that, with that tone, you're curious, that would probably mean, oh, you're asking too many questions. You're nosy. Maybe I have a secret that I'm trying to keep. So that would be connotation, implied meaning. Synonyms, which we do a lot of, that would be words that mean the same. Antonyms, words that mean the opposite. Simile, comparing two things using like or as, and it helps if they are not similar. Also, a metaphor, same thing, but you do not use like or as. And then finally, irony. So it depends on your level. This is going by medium to hard. None of this is easy, but understanding the direct and indirect meaning, That would be what you need if you're aiming for a 3. And then getting synonyms and antonyms, that would be helping you bump up to a 4. Using similes and metaphors, that would also be about a 4-ish. And irony, if you can use irony and understand irony, this is not just using but also understanding it, that would be in the 5 range. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please ask me. If you want extra help on one of these, please ask. Until then, hope you have a great day and talk to you later.